On the news tonight, President Bola Tinubu recalls both career and non-career ambassadors. DSS releases CBN Deputy Governor Kingsley Obiora from custody. And EFCC says frivolous judgment to blame for high-profile corruption cases lost. Hello and welcome to News Now on TV 360 Nigeria. I am Simisola Adigun. President Bola Tinubu has recalled all Nigeria's career and non-career ambassadors. This development was disclosed by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tuga, on Saturday in response to inquiries that Tinubu had recalled Nigerian ambassadors to the United Kingdom, Sharafa Ishola. However, the minister did not disclose the reason behind the recall. The current ambassadors, including Ishola, were appointed by former President Muhammadu Buhari, but Tinubu recalled him following the expiration of his tenure. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has decried its inability to secure convictions in corruption cases, including high-profile ones. The spokesman for the EFCC, Wilson Uwajaren, in an interview with journalists in Kaduna State, highlighted some of the challenges impeding the speedy prosecution of corruption cases and securing convictions. According to him, the losses are due to what he described as frivolous court judgments based on technicalities rather than the fact and national interest, as well as arbitrary adjournment of corruption cases, among other factors. Owajaren, who shared the insight at a one-day workshop for media practitioners on effective reporting of EFCC activities held in Kaduna State, also disclosed that the commission had secured about 7,700 convictions across the country in 2022. Well, to speak more on this development, legal practitioner Evans joins me on the news. Thank you very much for joining me. Now, Nigeria is in dire need of, to end the social vice of corruption ravaging the country. Now, do you think that the reason by the EFCC spokesperson is a good enough excuse?
Well, that's not just the reason. I mean, the word frivolous judgment itself is contemptuous. Shouldn't be coming from the EFCC. It's wrong to use the word frivolous judgment. The reason they lose cases largely are because they hardly do their investigations proper. I mean, if you look at how criminal prosecution is done in the US and in the UK, before you are arrested, investigation has been concluded. But the EFCC don't even investigate at all. What they do is that they arrest on the basis of allegation. Sometimes when they invite you, you get there, they convert invitation to arrest and keep you there in perpetuity. By the time they are about to go to court, the suspect already also have secured some level of infraction emanating from the EFCC, for which they start to, file fundamental enforcement to get their own. The EFCC violates the rights of Nigerians even before they start prosecution. That is where they have a big problem. You see, they want to initiate every case and win every case. That is not how you lose some and you win some. The day they lose, the defense counsel wins. The day they win, the defense counsel loses. Okay? So you do not come out and say it's because of frivolous judgment. That statement is contemptuous. The issue of applications and adjournments and all that, there are other factors. We're not saying that the EFCC they are not doing the right thing or that they are not communicating the right information to the public. We are saying that the expression used is wrong, and that even if there are hiccups, there are options of appeal. When you lose a case, there are options of appeal. EFCC should take advantage of the options of appeal. They can go to the appeal court, from the appeal court to the Supreme Court, to ensure that the word frivolous judgment is not what should be used. Okay, that is wrong. If you lose this at the court of first instance, you have an option to go to the court of appeal, and if you lose there, you have an option to go to the Supreme Court. So the law had made provision for everyone, both prosecution and defense, to exercise those options. So you do not come to the public and say, because the reason you are losing high-profile cases is because of technicalities and it's because of frivolous judgment. If the first court gives you a frivolous judgment, according to you in quotes, why don't you go to the other court, the higher court, and then take it to the apex court to ensure that you secure conviction? So the right thing to say is that they will prosecute all cases by the best of their ability. And if they lose any, fine. If they win any, okay. But the options of appeal, they should exercise them before they come to that conclusion. It is hasty generalization to say that you lose cases because of frivolous judgments.
All right, legal practitioner Evan Tufeli, many thanks for your insight and your time. Moving on, the Department of State Services, DSS, has released the Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, in charge of economic policy, Kingsley Obiora, after detaining him for 4 days. Obiora was arrested on Tuesday as part of a clampdown on senior officials of the Apex Bank, which began with the suspended governor, Godwin. While in the DSS detention, Obiora was reportedly pressured to stand as a witness against the suspended bank chief. President Tinubu had appointed a Jim Obazi-led special panel to investigate the CBN following the arrest and prosecution of Emefiele over alleged financial infractions in late July. According to reports, the questioning of the deputy governors of the CBN and other senior officials of the bank are part of the ongoing audit. President Bola Tinubu has declared support for a partnership between the Federal Ministry of Health National Eye Health Program and the Peak Vision Foundation to provide more than 5 million pairs of eyeglasses to Nigerians with sight impairment. The president declared his support for the initiative when he received the founder and CEO of Peak Vision Foundation and co-founder of the Vision Catalyst Fund, Andrew Bastoras, on a courtesy visit at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. There are more details in this report. According to the Federal Ministry of Health, Nigeria has a high prevalence of sight impairments, standing at 0.78%, most of which is avoidable. To this end, the government has reaffirmed its support for eye health in the country by signing a partnership with the Peak Vision Foundation, which will aid the provision of more than 5 million pairs of eyeglasses to Nigerians with sight impairments. Highlighting the need for improved eye health services in Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu expressed concern about the more than 24 million Nigerians grappling with varying degrees of vision impairments.
Sight and vision is critical to economic development and our growth. Is crucially important. I am in support. I will encourage the mobilization of fund and commitment to see this through, to reach our vulnerable and the children in our schools.
The founder and CEO of Peak Vision Foundation, Andrew Bastoras, said that eye care is still chronically under-resourced in many countries, adding that the estimates in Nigeria show that just 0.02% of the health budget is spent on eye health.
Development of a technology organization called Peak Vision, where we use smartphones to be able to equip non-health workers to screen people in the communities, in schools, and then a platform that connects them to the places they need to go for treatment. We've published this in multiple trials to prove how effective it is, and we've shown in some countries 16 times more people get their sight back and get care by using this program.
Speaking on the provisions of the National Eye Health Policy, the country's Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Ali Pate, said it will reduce the burden of eye diseases in Nigeria and mitigate the social and economic impact.
Eye health providers, non-governmental organizations, and governments to advance the cause of eye health. It empowers partners and provides them the tools that they need to optimize eye health among populations, connecting health with broader economic development, health, education, and economic development.
At the end of the event, the minister was joined by other stakeholders in the health sector as he presented a national policy document on eye health to the president. Simisola Adigun, TV 360 News. Still in health, as part of comprehensive efforts to combat lymphatic filariasis, also known as elephantiasis, the state government, in partnership with a non-governmental organization, Mission to Save the Helpless, Metosath, has commenced mass administration of free medicines to residents in 6 local government areas. The Permanent Secretary, Lagos State Minister of Health, Olusegun Ogboye, who flagged off the campaign for the mass administration of medicines in Ikeja on Thursday, said this was necessary after identifying 11 LGAs as endemic. Earlier in her remarks, the Executive Director, Metosath, Francisca Olamiju, explained that neglected tropical diseases are communicable diseases that have long been associated with poverty due to their prevalence in areas with inadequate sanitation, water supply, and substandard housing conditions.
NTDs as a public health concern and the need for a continued commitment to combat their impact in Lagos State. Aligning with this year's theme for World NTD Day, Act Now, Act Together, Invest in Elimination of Neglected Tropical Diseases, Lagos State is prepared to commence mass administration of ivermectin and albendazole for the elimination of LF in children and adults. Our goal is to treat 3,952,904 individuals, achieving 80% therapeutic coverage and 100% geographic coverage in the 6 identified LGAs: Etiosa, Ikorodu, Koshofe, Mushin, Oshodi Solo, and Surulere.
Together, we can eliminate NTDs in Lagos State at large. We urge Lagosians. What's the message? Please come out and access free medicines, ivermectin, and albendazole. It's very safe. I want to appreciate FMOH for their leadership and coordination towards achieving the required results in the country at large as regards the elimination of NTDs, particularly lymphatic filariasis we're talking about today.
The Edo State government has relocated the office of the Deputy Governor to a building outside the government house. This development follows the feud between the governor, Godwin Obaseki, and his deputy, Philip Shaibu. The battle for succession has pitched the deputy governor against Obaseki. Shaibu, who hails from Edo North Senatorial District, plans to succeed Obaseki, an indigene of Benin, in Edo South Senatorial District. However, Obaseki is reportedly pushing for a successor from Eson land in Edo Central Senatorial District. Stakeholders in the security sector have called on the federal government to intensify the war against human trafficking by giving stiffer penalties to culprits to serve as a deterrent to others. They gave the charge at the launch of a book authored by award-winning journalist Juliana Francis. Speaking at the event, former senior special advisor to former President Muhammadu Buhari, Femi Adesina, decried the destruction caused by human trafficking. On his part, Chairman of the Police Service Commission, Solomon Arase, tasked the federal government to intensify the war against human trafficking.
The book is on human trafficking. It may not have direct relevance to the economy, but when you have dislocations like that, one way or the other, it will redound on the economy. It's not strictly an economic issue, but it's something that will, in a way, impinge on the economy. So before you can have a well-rounded country, the family must also be well-rounded. A big cause of human trafficking is dysfunctional families. So when families are together and they can be called functional families, then you won't have this ill of human trafficking. Well, the federal government has formed NAPTIP, National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons. It has done that, and I think NAPTIP has been working very well. If NAPTIP can be strengthened in any way, let them strengthen NAPTIP and let them strengthen all the other security agencies so that nobody gets away with the crime.
The impact is that everyone should become a campaigner. Everybody should become new. I want the book to have a ripple effect. I want everybody to read. That is why when people ask me questions about the book, I keep telling them that it's a family book. Even though the target audience are secondary school students, it's a family book whereby everybody can read and be able to educate somebody. Imagine a society where every one of us, we are now talking about one issue, reading about a book, and then you are seeing the red flags, that these are the red flags. Somebody that's coming to tell, I want to take your child to abroad, I will pay the visa, I will pay the ticket, I will pay. You should be asking yourself, for what purpose? What is the motive?
The Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Bosun Tijani, has said the federal government is working with all stakeholders as well as the National Assembly towards the enactment and implementation of a robust data protection law in line with international best practices. The minister revealed this at a sensitization workshop on data privacy and protection in Nigeria, organized by the Nigeria Data Protection Commission (NDPC) in Abuja. While he revealed that the data protection laws would put relevant organizations on their toes, the minister assured Nigerians that their personal data will be kept confidential.
Data is the currency or is the oil for any AI, because AI needs the data set to make decisions, to do anything you want it to do. So without the data, the clean data, the AI cannot make an informed decision. Therefore, we need to find a way to navigate our ways between putting the data forward, protecting our personal data, and also leaving the data open so that people will take it and innovate. And also AI can use it to help us make decisions. Because the way we are going with time, every decision will be made by AI or an AI system.
You know, the ministry used to be a supervising ministry for NIMSI, which is now under the Ministry of Interior. But we're working with the Ministry of Interior to ensure that the progress that has been made with NIMSI can actually give direction for the harmonization of data. It's been a journey for Nigeria. You know, we started with all sort of data collection processes. BVN, to a large extent, was quite successful. But NIMSI, I think, is giving a standard for how, through NIN, how data should actually be collected and used. So I think that direction in terms of harmonization will come from the progress that we've seen with NIMSI. And the ministry is going to work quite closely with the agency, but also the Ministry of Interior to make sure that this is properly done.
We'll take a short break here, but still to come, Gabon coup leader says no rush to elections and the same mistakes. We'll bring details when we return. Welcome back. Here's a recap of our top stories tonight. President Bola Tinubu has recalled all Nigerian career and non-career ambassadors. This development was disclosed by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tuga, on Saturday in response to inquiries that Tinubu had recalled the Nigerian ambassador to the United Kingdom, Sharafa Ishola. However, the minister did not disclose the reason behind the recall. The current ambassadors, including Ishola, were appointed by former President Muhammadu Buhari, but Tinubu recalled him following the expiration of his tenure. We also told you that the Department of State Services, DSS, has released the Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria in charge of economic policy, Kingsley Obiora, after detaining him for 4 days. Obiora was arrested on Tuesday as part of a clampdown on senior officials of the Apex Bank, which began with the suspended Governor Godwin. According to reports, the questioning of the deputy governors of the CBN and other senior officials of the bank is part of ongoing investigations. And in case you missed any of our news bulletins or for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
And wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other People Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
In business, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, says Nigeria's crude oil production level, including condensate, is currently at 1.67 million barrels per day. Mele Kyari, the Group Chief Executive Officer of the NNPCL, disclosed this at a press briefing in Abuja on Friday. In July 2023, the country's crude oil and condensate output fell to 1.29 million barrels per day from 1.48 million barrels per day in the previous month. Giving updates at the news conference, Kyari said oil production increased by over 300,000 barrels per day, adding that the oil and gas industry has a huge potential and the possibilities of providing all the foreign exchange requirement for the country. President Bola Tinubu will be attending the upcoming G20 Summit in New Delhi, India from September 9th to the 10th. Addressing the State House correspondents on Friday, the spokesman for the president, Ajuri Ngelale, said the trip is expected to attract foreign direct investment to the country. According to him, the president will be hosting a roundtable made up of more than 20 chief executive officers of major industries across multiple sectors of the Indian economy.
We are focused on engagements that will be dealing with critical sectors of the national economy, involving steel development, involving electricity generation, transmission and distribution, involving shipyard building capacity, and involving several other industries which we know to be labor intensive to ensure that we can create as many jobs for our teeming youth population as possible. His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be hosting a CEO roundtable, which will be made up of more than 20 chief executive officers of major industries across multiple sectors of the Indian economy to ensure that we leverage on their interest in investing in the country in such a way that suits the industrialization initiative of the Renewed Hope agenda of Mr. President. In addition to that CEO roundtable, there will be at least five major meetings with the CEOs of 5 major industries in India, including Jindal Steel and Power Company, amongst a few others, that would have a very important impact on our ability to develop the steel sector in our country.
On the global scene, the leader of the coup that overthrew Gabon's President Ali Bongo says he wants to avoid rushing into elections that repeat past mistakes as pressure mounts to hand back power to a civilian government. In a television address on Friday, Nguema said that the junta would proceed quickly but surely, but that it would avoid elections that repeat the same mistakes by keeping the same people in power. A spokesman for Gabon's military rulers also said on state TV that they decided with immediate effect to reopen the land, sea and air borders on Saturday. Meanwhile, the Central African Regional Bloc ECOWAS has urged partners led by the United Nations and the African Union to support a rapid return to constitutional order. The partners are expected to reconvene on Monday. And in sports, Minister of Sports Development John Enos says his administration will pursue a twofold focus as part of plans to reposition sports in the country. Speaking to stakeholders in Lagos, Enos said that the twofold focus rests on sports development and sports for development as a way of harnessing the potentials of sports for Nigeria. He explained that sports should not be developed just for the sake of it, but the concern should also extend to ensuring that sports contributes to the nation's economic development. Well, that's our bulletin this evening. Many thanks for watching. I'm Simisola Ajigo. Bye for now.